Good to see you all. Happy Wednesday night. And thanks for joining the forum. Wherever you are, I invite you to take just a moment to brief pause and gratitude for the day, gratitude for this community. My little desk chalice here I'll light for you and for all of us. And for all the ways that small moments of service and compassion find their ways into the lives of our common everyday moments. That's how we care for each other, and that's what helps light up the world even when there's much to be concerned about in the world as well. So thank you for offering those threads to help hold us all. So I'll be your minister of tech tonight, and I'm so grateful to Sandy for so many things in this church, but for tonight being willing to do a Zoom forum and all the work that goes into that. I'm grateful for you all for being here. And I will go into the background and help with, there's still folks coming in, sorry, so I'm watching the waiting room. I'll try to be chat watcher and then presentation slide operator, I guess. So here we are. So I'll turn it over to you, Sandy. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you.
Good evening. Imagine we're in the Commons. The John Sievers duo is playing in the background. Delectable desserts, even on this Ash Wednesday, are being served. And we are celebrating the 7th anniversary of Hawthorne Helps. Just imagine. Hawthorne Education Center. Whoops, Luke, I'm not seeing the slides. Will I? Okay. There we go. Hawthorne Education Center, home of Hawthorne Helps, opened as an adult education center in 2002. The building, originally an elementary school, was built in 1917. All right. UU ties. Okay, yeah. UU ties with Hawthorne date back to the 1990s. Beth Pletzer and Kathy Yoss, members of the UU task group Promise the Children, joined forces with congregations concerned for children to provide classroom volunteers and meet other school needs at Hawthorne. UU Susan Carlson is also pictured in this 1994 Post Bulletin article. Many of the children then were recent immigrants from low-income families. Principal Gresseth was quoted, "We are glad the church adopted Hawthorne because the school doesn't have that many volunteers. Many of the parents work outside the home and do not have time to come to the classroom." Jump ahead 20 years.
I didn't catch it. You're done.
UU Julie Larson Keller.
You're done for now then out there.
Family educator, surrounded by her beautiful students, had long hoped for a Channel 1 food shelf at Hawthorne. 85% of the students live at or below the poverty level. Most are people of color and many are immigrants. In 2015, when Channel 1's backpack program closed at Willow Creek, UU coordinator Sandy Ramage and I asked for a meeting with Hawthorne administration to explore ways our church could help. I was thinking of a Channel 1 food shelf. Sandy and I both had ties to the school. Her 3 children had attended Hawthorne Elementary, and she had been a very active parent volunteer, especially in the ESOL classrooms. When my mother died in 2013, John and I set up a GED scholarship for Hawthorne students with her memorial money. These were the days when the state of Minnesota did not cover the cost of GED testing. The Hawthorne answer to a food shelf was no thanks. Undeterred, Sandy suggested her original idea that instead of food, UUs could provide essential items that students were unable to purchase with SNAP, also known as food stamps, items like toothbrushes, toothpaste, hand soap, shampoo, toilet paper, and more. Administration said, okay, we'll give it a try, and they chose the name Hawthorne Helps. I'm not sure we agreed with that. UU Kathy Strobel offered to assist us in developing a brochure. She was on the Community Food Response Board at that time. CFR was in the same neighborhood down the street at Bethel. She had just updated their brochure. Her friend Missy Hagan, a graphic artist, sharpened up our sketchy logo. Our new brochure contained the following statements. Hawthorne Helps, and you can read that, was created as a partnership between Rochester Public Schools, Hawthorne Education Center, and First UU Church. Our mission: offers support that affirms personal dignity, welcomes newcomers to our community, and encourages all students' educational success. Service: staff a free store, stocking and distributing essential items that cannot be purchased with SNAP. Next slide. Where's the money? First UU was the financial foundation. Startup came from the Willow Creek backpack account and a generous social justice council check. Clara Barton pitched in from the very beginning and continued to donate through 2019. Our first Share the Plate was held in September 2015. Eventually, we reached the point in finances where our community support expanded and UUs were providing just 1/3 of the total operating cost. That was a great day. Our last Share of the Plate was in September 2019, and we are up again for this Sunday, March 6th. The best financial story, however, was shared a few years ago in a Share the Plate talk. A young Hispanic student picked out her items from the store, turned to me and said, "Could students ever help?" I was taken aback, thought quickly and answered, "Sure, that'd be great, thank you." 2 store dates later, she showed up with 3 wadded up bills. They totaled $25. Think what that amount meant in her household. That Sunday was our largest Share the Plate ever. All right, we're on for number 6. By April 2015, Hawthorne Helps was up and running with quite a few bumps along the way. Our first home was in the gym with 1 shelf, 2 tables, and a refrigerator. UUs were recruited to shop for items. Nancy Harrell and Lynn Smith were among the first shoppers beside the coordinators. Nancy Harrell was also instrumental in connecting us with First Presbyterian Women and St. Luke's Social Justice Committee. Okay. The Sandys visited each classroom carrying a prop box filled with SNAP items, explaining the free store as best we could without interpreters, and our business boomed. I still have that green spiral notebook. I'm holding it up, I don't know if you can see it, that describes those beginning days. I read it today. It was a hoot. We couldn't keep up with the numbers. Volunteers were bringing in donations to have enough inventory for their own shift. Mary Amundsen's granddaughter asked her graduation party guests to bring donations for Hawthorne in lieu of gifts. As I reread the notebook this morning, whoops, back up, please. I was humbled to read the volunteer names. Most of them are still active today. Hawthorne staff was very supportive too. An amazing Somali woman on staff, Amma Mohammed, interpreted for us just on her own time. She also pitched in to help serve the students when we were overwhelmed with high numbers. We were sad to see her leave, but celebrated her graduation from RCTC. All right, this is the slide we're on now. All right, Ella Van Lanningham. Nope, back up. Ella Van Lanningham arranged for us to speak at Daymakers Kiwanis, our first speaking engagement. We are picking up donations from them on Friday. I reached out to several liberal Christian churches sharing the Hawthorne story and asking for money and or items. We tried to maintain a 50-50 split between items purchased and items donated. Peace UCC listened, adopted Hawthorne, and used their annual Halloween party. You can see those cute little kids in costumes, and collected 550 rolls of toilet paper. Wow. The first time I went there, I realized I couldn't get it in the car. So George Houston brought his truck. A former Head Start employee and my mentee, Susan Larson, was now employed at Bethel as the RE director. Bethel signed on and held a sock hop. It was so fun. Admission, a donation to Hawthorne. Bethel, in addition to that, a Bethel parent wrote a Thrivent grant. On the card on the right, you can see a big load of what she purchased from the Dollar Tree with the money. Our church neighbors, UCC Congregational, we couldn't have better neighbors. We partnered with them through Family Promise for many years, and they showed up with hundreds of items in the gym one day. Now we are ready. Okay, Our Channel 1 barrel was no longer collecting food. Channel 1, in fact, had recently purchased new plastic barrels and planned to toss out the old ones. With a new coat of paint, the UU barrel, Blue Barrel, was born. Just recently, some discussion about replacing this antique with a jazzier plastic model came up. But you know, this barrel has a lot of charm and history. Don't you agree? From the beginning, we recruited RE classes, families, and youth to sort, tally, and count the donations. Playing on and in the barrel was an added perk. 83 children, families, and youth have helped, many multiple times. To date, the barrel has collected almost 5,000 items, even with COVID closures. Pausing for an advertisement right now. This month, consider dropping off shampoo and Band-Aids. Okay, next. Next slide, here we go. The first year, UU Youth organized a special collection. RE families were the generous donors. One of the things I most love about Hawthorne is that all ages can volunteer in some way. Many of these youth, you may know them, are college students today. In this next slide, we should see, let's see if we do. Nope, we don't, but I'll tell you about it. This is another place for you to imagine. You should see a photo of our youngest volunteer ever, Leah Holman. Maybe you knew her too. However, due to my my ongoing technical ineptitude, I was unable to add the photo. So this will be another Imagine moment. Let's see if I can move this down. Leah came to the store at age 7 months in a baby carrier with her mom, Sophia Johanna. By the time the family went back to Germany in 2019, Leah had progressed from crawling to walking. She was a favorite of the HEC students. I need to add Sandy Ramage's comment here. We, the UU volunteers, were of course enamored of Leah, as we were of all the beautiful family literacy infants, toddlers, and preschoolers. Now, a shout out to Ethan Egler, who chose Hawthorne as his coming of age nonprofit. He also once gave a speech about Hawthorne and organized a door-to-door collection of items with his JM speech class. Ethan was our first teen store volunteer. 7 years later, during COVID, I got an unexpected call from a John Marshall student, just out of the blue, offering to help. She had just watched a video in one of her classes about volunteer opportunities, and that video included pictures and information about Hawthorne. She packed up 50 bags in her home and got them to the store. On the right in the slide, Olini Reba Marmolejo with her mom Gloria volunteered at Hawthorne to help stock shelves and update inventory. They even created a Blue Barrel replica that you could kind of see in the photo and organized a collection from Olini's figure skating club. Next up, publicity was boosted by Kathy Brutinel's article in the UU Review. The Gupta and Thompson boys, let's see, are shown in the lower left-hand corner counting the barrel items. Two well-known UU and political activists joined us that first year. Alita Borrud helped coordinate during our first months, and if you know Kelly Ray Kirkpatrick at all, you know she was busy organizing fresh produce deliveries for us. And on to the next slide. Our pilot was deemed a success by Hawthorne Education. Responses from students and staff was overwhelmingly positive. We got the green light to continue. When we returned in September, much to our surprise, we had been moved up to the second floor outside the student lounge. That was a great deal. We thought, oh gosh, they think a lot of us now, but really it was because the gym was under reconstruction. Well, it was great though. They added cabinets for us and we had the use of the cupboards for storage. And of course, we were much more visible. Student shoppers multiplied. We were now serving about 200 students on each store date. And now on to the next. Our first year ended with a bang. Thanks to Gail Bishop's write-ups, Sandy and I received the Moose Jaw Justice Award for lay leaders. Sandy keeps a very low profile. I don't know if she's here tonight, I hope so. So I was the one in attendance, and that is where I first met Reverend Luke. No doubt the best thank you we received that first year, though, was from family literacy parents. A photo op orchestrated by Julie Larson Keller. Take a closer look at all those native costumes, and maybe you can read the signs they're holding up that spell out the words thank you. And on to our second year. Oops, we're missing, let's see, back up one maybe. Nope, the slide is missing. I'm going to just leave it here and tell you about the second slide. So, well, that's a shame. So in our second year, Social Justice paid for an ad in the Post Bulletin to thank our partners and further promote the program. One summer day, we joined the Diversity Council at Thursdays on First with our own flag making, maps to mark your country of origin, and citizenship questions. If any of you are old enough to remember the old Jay Leno shows when he took to the streets for jaywalking, in December 2014, Jay actually did a citizenship test segment available on YouTube. John and I highly recommend this when you need a good laugh. It is hilarious. The words deported flash across the scene when a participant failed. Actually, only one person passed. We found a similar level of ignorance on the streets in downtown Rochester. It was quite unbelievable. And then in this picture, beside showing Ronice and Margaret Brandel downtown at the booth, we had another picture of the People's Food Co-op Wooden Nickel program. They became our 14th partner and they've continued to support Hawthorne. Now we go to the next one, and it should be the Rochester Farmers Market. Yes, the Rochester Farmers Market partnered with us from the beginning, and we were able to pick up leftover produce after the Wednesday Farmers Market. It was such a small market northwest near the old Target store that Channel 1 did not want to bother. So David, the market manager, and I went to all the vendors and explained, or at least tried to explain, what Hawthorne House was all about, and that we'd be a great place for them to donate their produce left over. Our most generous donations always came from the Asian vendors, who themselves were former Hawthorne students. He also connected us with Ultra Credit Union, who supplied the farmers market recycle bags. I think many of you may have those bags in your home. For the next 6 years, we distributed hundreds of bags from Ultra with our own logo on it. And next is the picture of the Ultra bags and one of our favorite shoppers. Ultra bags were a big hit with the students, but not so much my attempts to teach use of cloth bags. It's a green thing with a complicated bonus system. If a student returned with the red bag to shop at the next store, they received a bonus, and then more bonuses continued to and increased when they shopped. Could we even understand the system based on these complicated charts? I don't think so. Sandy Ramage managed the numbers. That may have been the one positive side effect of COVID. No more bonuses to tally and a switch to grab and go. Now we're going to take a brief break, and Luke's going to look at the chat and see if there's anything we want to address there.
Don't see anything in the chat. Did anybody have any midway through comments or questions before we continue? And Sandy, I wonder if that slide might be later on. It might have got mixed up, but we'll see if we come across it. I don't know.
It'll be good.
Whatever it happens, yeah.
Whatever.
I recognize what you said.
I'm down to the last 15 minutes, so this is good. Very good.
Okay, I'll share my screen again.
So we're on to the next slide, which should be number 17. I don't know what it is for you. We'll see. Okay, we're going to the next one. Oh, there it is. Lovely. So there you see it. The big Post Bulletin ad, the partnership with Diversity Council at the Thursdays on First, and the big wooden nickel program from the co-op. No problem. Now we get to go. Nope, now we're out of order again. This is really interesting. Let me, nope. Maybe I can, let's see, here we go. I'll kind of adjust that. Even with annual commitments from 7 churches at this point and a couple of small grants and some budding business partnerships, we needed this, the UU Handcrafted Bazaar. Every nonprofit needs a signature fundraiser. In 5 years, you can see we cleared $5,644.95. A core of UUs, a really solid core of UUs, men and women have created, knitted, crocheted, sawed, drilled, painted, assembled, sewed, glued, and photographed to create the items sold to the men. And I'm going to just say this to them: Gary Donovan, Peter Edel, Eric Egler, John Mack, Mike Stick, Nathan Barr, George Houston, and Tim Ramage. A toast. You guys have been terrific. And now we should get the next one. Let's see if we're in order. Yep. So this is the photos. There's a photo of Sandy Ramage with Kathy and a bunch of people. Okay, so those were photos from the 2017 pre-bazaar. UU artist Betty Devine offered an earring workshop to help us learn how to create birch earrings on display, and Marge is in the corner making some. And in the upper right-hand corner, there was our first bazaar, everything birch, coasters, wreaths, candles, cards. I think we have finally maxed out on the birch items. I bet First U homes have more birch than any other congregation in the city. 5 years later, 2021, even in the pandemic, we triumph thanks to new coordinators, Laura Lukes and Ramona Barr, and to always our generous congregation, men and women. Melissa Egler, wherever you are in Mexico, thank you for this opportunity. All right, we're on to the next one. All right. So in the lower left-hand corner, Wayne, an HEC tutor from St. Luke's, was one of my favorite people. Until his death in 2019, he showed up with a bag of donations from St. Luke's every single store date. To this day, St. Luke's has a collection tub with Wayne's photo. And then above that is an example of thank yous that we post at what we did pre-COVID at Hawthorne. And it shows for this particular day what $300 from St. Luke's actually purchased. We try to make the students and staff aware of all the people in Rochester who support them and their journey. We stay on this page for a little bit. In the center top, Think Bank and the Rochester Bank Consortium were added as partners because, I don't know if any of you bank downtown Think, the downtown Think manager, PJ Peng's parents attended Hawthorne when they first arrived in Rochester. PJ is currently president of the Bank Consortium, and during COVID, they continue to support us beyond what you see in this picture. They asked how much a month cost and gave us exactly $692. I was floored. It was great. We received a generous one-time gift from one of the smaller mosques, and then we went there to visit the mosque. Several people from our church came, and I had an opportunity to thank them in person. And then you see the picture of the marvelous Miss Margot Stick, who organized art happy hours at local breweries, and Hawthorne became the sole beneficiary of those delightful evenings. Anyone who attended had to bring something for Hawthorne. After, was it into the second year, I think some of the art members did think perhaps she should branch out to include other nonprofits, but not so far. A Mayo doc collected donations from his department after his wife, a Minnesota workforce employee, shared our story. They too had been immigrants. UU Jennifer Charlebois submitted our name to Mayo's anesthesiology department, and we received bags of Bomba socks from their giving back partners. And now I think we can go on to the next one. Oops, we're out of order again. Let me punt here. Okay, sharing the love. Welcoming signs were created at church by adults and children for HEC students with messages such as, "You're welcome here, your presence makes my heart happy, you are not alone." Some of these are still posted today. Students were very appreciative. The hearts were so much better than the pickup truck with the Confederate flag who enjoyed driving through the parking lot and harassing the students. Okay, let's see what's next. Oh, the same page. Next, we tried our hand at grant writing. Rhonda Lorenz was the most successful with our first $50, a gift card from Costco. I don't think $50 goes very far at Costco, but we did get some toothbrushes. And then an amazing $1,000 from People's Energy Co-op in the upper right-hand corner. This required gathering information with help from Hawthorne administration. We had to establish that a certain percentage of students lived outside Rochester in Greater Olmsted County. And then in the lower left, always our cheerleader, Kathy Yoss, and always Hawthorne's cheerleader, encouraged us to apply for profits from what turned out to be the last pre-COVID charter house rummage sale. See that big check for $929.85. Okay, let's see what surprises next, Luke. Okay. Okay, UU Caring Crafters, along with other knitters and crocheters in our congregation, have always been supportive. Tied with that is a sweet student story. A young woman from Bosnia noticed all the knitting and crocheting showing up on the tables. Her face lit up one day and she said, I could do that. She showed up on the next door date with this beautiful infant set in the upper right-hand corner. A young pregnant Somali mom was the fortunate recipient. Pat Silgenberg is featured in the lower left-hand corner. She has donated well over 250 knit washcloths that we paired up with soap bars. And Laura Lukes in the lower right has sewn and shared dozens of fleece mittens, not only for sale at the bazaar, but for the students themselves. Okay, hitting the next one. Yep, and then came COVID-19. In spite of COVID and 3 Rochester public schools closing, Hawthorne has survived thanks to so many. We benefited from Melissa's Drive-By Santa. Ramona Barr and Julie Gilkinson organized the UU Peace Tree twice in spite of COVID. We were Chalice Camp's social justice project for the 6th year running. You can see them there with their masks and their funky shirts in the middle bottom. Campers decorated and packed 100 bags, July 2021. On site at Hawthorne, we adopted a grab and go model proposed by the administration. That continues even now, morphing through a variety of delivery systems. In this one, this photo was taken pre-vaccine. So we were inside the student lounge and a table was outside the lounge, and John and I were waving at the students and pointing to the table and saying they could take something. It was so funny. One older Middle Eastern gentleman who's been at Hawthorne a long time faithfully came to each of those store dates and brought his red Ultra bag. And he'd hold it up and shake it. And so we just had to find something in the cupboard to give him his bonus. He didn't know the program had ended. All right, here we go. Next one. When Hawthorne Education Center went virtual in November 2020, we partnered with the only staff actually seeing students in person, family literacy. The teachers were dropping off weekly preschool learning kits to 22 families. In this way, we reached 100 people every week, including 34 infants, toddlers, and preschoolers, 40 school-age students, as well as other adults in the family. John should get an award for his service during COVID, no doubt. We packed big bags of items. We didn't do 2, 3, or 4. We just filled those bags on site weekly for 17 weeks. A total of 374 bags were given out. UCC Congregational was our star performer during COVID, doing 2 collections for us. You can see their October collection below their altar with the flowers and our banner on the right. After that October drive, Linda Miner said, we can do a lot better than that. And she organized a December drive. I think their 2 new young ministers were there then, and they're so fun, and they just were so enthusiastic, and they just cheered us on and encouraged their congregation. So they topped any congregation ever collect with amounts collected at one time. They collected $625 and 634 items. That was so sweet. Friends of the Public Library next added as a partner, and many books were put into the hands of the families. I just wanted to add that during that time, one of our UU retired nurses and newest members, Marilyn Delling, assembled 22 first aid kits for the family literacy parents and developed a handout to go with them. So, wow, packing the endless grab and go bags during COVID became a challenge. We could not use space at Hawthorne Education Center nor our church. Thompson's and Edmondson's graciously opened their garages a number of times, and UU volunteers packed a lot of bags. For 7 months during COVID, I don't know why. I guess the school district had said no volunteers during that time. So Hawthorne would not allow any other UUs into the building except John and myself. So the Yellow Monkey, you can see their little card, business card there. And they're a nonprofit shop located on 7th Street Northwest. This is their big shout out. They provide a place for young adults from Rochester Public Schools RAIL program, ABC, and Possibilities to work. The owner, Cindy Rigatti, our community partner since 2015, when she set out a donation basket at her beauty shop, Headliners, offered us more help. While many young adults decorated the bag, the young man in the picture, Troy, became our primary packer. After years of searching, I think he's 36 now, by his group home, the staff were thrilled to finally find one task he could do successfully by himself. He's got headphones on to block out all that noise, and he just beams when he does this. Imagine my surprise when I finally connected the dots, realizing that many years ago, Troy had actually been one of my special education students at Jefferson Elementary. The 149 bags we prepared for yesterday's store were all packed by Troy. I encourage every one of you to check out the Yellow Monkey on Facebook or on Google and drop by the shop. Be sure and tell them that Hawthorne Help sent you. Okay, now we're ready. See what our next surprise is going to be. Okay, during the COVID downtime, with many students now studying virtually, we look to reach out to more people in need. Paula Horner suggested community health services. You can read about it on there. The clinic was open by appointment only and serving 30 to 35 patients weekly, much lower than their usual numbers. Joe Payne and I both have had ties to the clinic when it was known as Migrant Health, and our former UU member, Mike McMullen, served as director there for several years. So what do we see in the picture? So we announced that we were going to do this, and the response from our UU nurses was so positive. They said things like, "So glad you're serving this deserving population. I can think of no better place. Need will be great. This is an excellent partnership. I'm so glad you're doing this." A core group of about 10 UU shopped, packed, and that would include that sweet little person in the lower left-hand corner, Jody's granddaughter, and her grandson and her mother also helped. Then we needed help delivering bags twice monthly from February through September. And you can see Phil carrying bags out that were packed and stored at his house, Kirk Payne loading up his car, and you can see those bags that sat on the Wheeler porch for a long time. Joe, the clinic set up a table for the bags and hung our banner. We didn't actually have any volunteers on site at all. Let's see. Joe Payne shared that the bags of essential items became a reward, sometimes at the COVID vaccine clinics and sometimes for chronic diabetics returning for their 3-month rechecks. It's a hard thing to make happen. Storage may well be a bad word in the home of the Wheelers, the Thompsons, and the Edmondsons. Their homes have turned into storage units. Bill can no longer play ping pong. Dave can barely move through the basement and the Wheelers' porch. Well, you can see that in the photo. John and I, in our 960 square foot condo, continually trip over bags and boxes. Note again, please note, men do volunteer with us. On Friday this week, we will resume this partnership. Our Hawthorne numbers have dropped significantly second semester. 50% plus students are virtual, but Hawthorne predicts that all the classes will be on site for summer school 2022 and numbers will rise. The continued influx of Afghan families through Catholic Charities will be part of that growth. Okay, next. Finally, in September 2021, other UU volunteers were allowed to return. 100% of our on-site volunteers are UUs. It's our program. Of course, we couldn't do it without the community. We set up outdoors for September and October to keep volunteers as safe as possible. September has always been so fun. Our signature welcome back event. In the pre-COVID days, we put out world and US maps, chatted with the students, asked them to share their country or state of birth, and we filled the maps with the stickers. We often had donations of fresh produce to share. That just couldn't happen this year. But Bethel Children and Youth involvement did happen, as has been done for several years. Bethel paid for part of the school supplies, wrote sweet notes, and packed bags too. UU volunteers and Troy at Yellow Monkey did the rest of the packing. UUs included notes. Have a great school year in many variations. 185 bags went out that day. We had a wonderful time, not only with the students, but just being together again as volunteers. That didn't happen so much during COVID. All right, and next up, 27. Okay. In the upper left-hand corner, UU Catherine Logan, a current Thrivent board member, talked up Hawthorne, and her success brought in a donation of 351 items, all packed up and ready to go. And then you see in the next several slides, a lot of hats, scarves, mittens, and gloves. We received donations of about 351 items. We distributed those items the end of October, first week of November. And they came, you know, the poster says many hands make light work, and it shows a picture of the 5 churches that provided these. Our own, St. Luke's, Bethel, First Presbyterian, Peace, friends and relatives also. Many hands do indeed make light work. A favorite HEC tutor and a UU member, our beloved Myatt Helmers, during this time turned 40. He gave up gifts and instead requested donations to Hawthorne. $700 came in from his big party. Okay, we're good for the next one. Hawthorne serves students from over 40 countries. All are struggling to make a better life for themselves and their families. The welcoming and sharing we offer to Hawthorne education students comes back to us tenfold as they tell us their stories and give us their thanks. Staff member to her, who does intake and admissions, is a Hmong refugee whose wife and children and family members were once Hawthorne students. He recently thanked us, saying that we may not realize what our presence means. The students face many rejections in our current world. We've heard that same sentiment expressed so many times by other staff and students. Two is now passing out our welcome bags containing school supplies to all the new students. Yesterday I was present when a new student received a bag. Her mother was with her. I think she was probably about 18, 19 years old. She expressed such gratitude for almost nothing. Yes, we provide a few essentials, but more importantly, we are a UU welcoming congregation right on site. The children pictured are decorating white masks collected and donated by Bernie from the hotel. And this is the slide that I think we missed, I'm sorry to say, because maybe Bernie's with us tonight. So Bernie and her daughter, friends of the Allemans, have lived at Homewood Suites on 2nd Street Southwest for over 6 years, while they have been receiving treatment at Mayo Clinic. In those years, Bernice collected the toiletries religiously. She tried to tell the maids, we don't need them, we don't want them, we can't use them. Every day they said they had no choice, they had to leave them. So she started gathering them for us, and we have shared them endlessly with Hawthorne and the Community Health Clinic. So what else do you see in there? At the September Social Justice Outdoor Service, the O'Donnell family continued our tradition of involving all ages. The girls had a great time decorating and packing bags for us. Please put Sunday, March 13th on your calendar for packing our new Think logo bags. Between services, the goal is to not only pack the bags, but introduce UU's members and friends, old and new, to the program. As part of the March social justice focus, we especially want to reach those who have never heard of us. Soul Matters March theme is renewing the faith. Amanda Gorman, I hope I can get through this. Amanda Gorman, our U.S. Poet Laureate, wrote, "There is always light, only if we are brave enough to be it." We are a nonprofit under the church umbrella. From our start through January 2022, we have distributed 32,000 bags. I'll let you do the math on the number of items plus produce, books, and sometimes clothing that represents. We started giving out just 2 items per person, then we increased to 3, and now we do 4 or 5. Connie Shulka tracks expenses and donations. Thank you, Connie. Amy Nelson, FDC, and those who preceded her have always supported us. Tech support too deserves recognition. Ella, Rob Harvlin, Raj Nolte, Linda Thompson, Phil Wheeler, and tonight Reverend Luke have all shared their expertise. And in closing, the final slide. I hope it's there. It is. And I can't read that at this point. That's too emotional. That's it, folks. Thank you. Couldn't happen without you.
Oh, thank you, Sandy. My gosh, what a beautiful history and work. I invite you all, if you're able, to unmute and give Sandy a hear, hear, or applause, or some noise of recognition and appreciation.
Yes, as you all can tell from her presentation, she is one amazing woman who has, I mean, not like some of us try to do it all ourselves. She's broadened the circle, and and it's crazy because to include all these people, but it's so important, and I so admire her.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Couldn't do it well without you all.
Thank you so much. Are there any other comments or questions or things folks want to share with Sandy?
I just wanted to echo the same sentiments. Sandy were amazing, really, in doing this program all these years, and keeping the support going and keeping the volunteers coming, and widening the people that help donate in the churches and so on. So thank you, Sandy.
You're welcome. So good to see your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice to see you, Ella and Glenn.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
And really, Sandy, your energy and your persistence in this, and you're just an inspiration for all of us. I hope you took joy tonight in reviewing the history. And it's just inspiring, and it just, I hope it makes others want to come out and join in the effort, because it's certainly a very worthy cause. So thank you, Sandy.
Are you going to open up your happy hours, Margot?
Well, I'm getting a little pressure from a committee member that when we do open up, she'd like to. There's another organization in town that she'd like to see us support. She happens to have been a good friend for many, many years, so I'm kind of working on it.
I think so.
if I have to go 50-50 with her, maybe, but I'm still trying to. Yeah, AARP has not opened up in-person gatherings yet, but
okay.
When they do,
had our moment.
Yeah, no, yeah, we were, and I actually, one of those that we did, one of those events that when I brought things to you, gosh, this woman was a Y member, and she contacted her circle of friends at the Y, and she was coming, people were asked to bring 1 or 2 things, and she had box loads of stuff to hand me. I'm like, you find that gem out there, and it can make all the difference.
That's Ann Shea's mother.
Oh, okay. Well, thank her. Yeah, okay, there was another
Shay-
connection.
And Ann Shea, since the first year, has been
Yeah.
our youngest adult volunteer. And now she has a job full-time at Hawthorne. And that's a wonderful
Awesome.
thing.
Thank you for sharing that. I wasn't aware of that.
Nice.
I want to give a shout out to the guy behind the great woman, and John's done a
Yes,
great
you
job
better.
in supporting
my.
Sandy and all of this.
I agree with that. I'm taking him to Pasquale's on his money.
My favorite title is Mule.
His favorite title, he says, is Mule. So are we good?
Oh, more than good. Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Sandy.
Sandy.
Thanks, all.
You're
And
welcome.
we'll continue the
Love
work.
you all.
We're getting the commons ready for March 13th packing already. We haven't had a lot going on in the commons for far too long. So we are excited to use it for that. So thank you. Hope to see you all there. And happy Wednesday. Enjoy Pasquale's on John's money. It sounds good.
Well
Good night.
deserved.
Good
Thank
night,
you.
everybody. Take
Good
care.
night. Thank you.